Hi, guys. So some of you have been through this before with me, and we're going to go through it again because I believe that incorporating AI into your studies and in your practices will dramatically cut down the time that you spend and will improve greatly the quality of your work. All right, so those of you on the Google group, I've been sending out prompts and sending out some materials about the programs that are available and what they do. So we're going to try to go over them with my young assistant, Billy, and we're going to try to make it work in real time. Okay, so Poe first. So let's bring Poe up first. So study and go back. All right, so you can show them everything that's in Poe. All right, so there are a lot of these programs. For the exam, we are recommending that you study with the AI program known as Poe. All right, so so bring Poe up. Poe, let's show them what's in Poe. Poe, on the left side of Poe, Assistant, Claude, GPT-4, Google's Palm, Llama, which is the meta version of an AI still in beta, and there's the bottom box that says all your bots below Llama 2, and in the summary you press the buttons that tells you the strengths and weaknesses of all of the AIs. Okay, so the AIs, some of them use different types of artificial intelligence to answer your questions, but you've got to be wary of the way AIs are written. AIs, when the answer isn't there on the internet, will keep writing using the natural language, and which they want to answer your question. What if there isn't? The AI hallucinates and will make up cases. And that's where we've read about attorneys who have been sanctioned for just because if you don't then shepherdize or make sure that those cases exist in the real world and other than the artificial world constructed by the program, you will easily be sanctioned, or you will cite things that are wrong, even though when you write it, it sounds perfectly reasonable. Yes?
Frank, when they cite a case, every once in a while, do they just change the answer? Do they change some of the words along the way?
Well, it depends on, okay, so now we're going to talk about what a prompt is. The AI does what you tell it to do. You tell it to do that in prompts. So I've created some prompts for the exam that we're going to go over, but you can tell it how you want to write your briefs. So I give it a problem, or I ask it to write a brief. Most of the time, the prompt that we have, what do I ask it for? What's our prompt? Neutral. Give me the real answer first. Okay, but the final, it says we represent blank. So it tells you which part. Our goal is for this deduction to be allowable. Write the most persuasive brief you can with the facts that we give it, right? And you can attach documents. One of the reasons we like Poe is you can attach as many documents in a file to the question, and it will take facts from documents. So what am I telling you? It's going to read your documents, and you're going to say, I want my facts in chronological order. even though the facts are in 10 different documents, it's going to go and pull the documents and put them in chronological order for you. Right? And then it will write something persuasive. Now, again, can you use it every time just out of the box? Absolutely not. I view Poe the same way I view my young lawyers who just graduated from law school. Okay? They may be eager, but they don't have the experience to get to the right answer. But it helps you produce a very good first draft, and it is great for studying. And then eventually, I'm not going to go all through all of the prompts that we've written. Those are on the Google group, right? For those of you on, I tell you, like there's prompts for the exam. There's prompts for reviewing the government's memo of law, and there's a set of prompts that say review the government's memo of law and write the rebuttal. Review the government's memo of law and edit my first draft to respond. I mean, there's a lot that we do in all of your writing. Like you see how many, there's a lot of AIs built into Poe. You're going to set one of the AIs to be the taxpayers counsel, the other one to be respondents counsel, and have them battle it out. And then you're going to distill from the two what you want to file with the Internal Revenue Service on behalf of your client. Now let's go through the first prompt. The first prompt is, all right, let's go to the next piece of a prompt. So in law school, we all learn to write in either what they call IRAC or CHIRAC. You state the conclusion, the issue, the rules, apply the facts to the rules, and then state the conclusion again. That's a good way to study for the exam. That's a good way to write short answers. So now we modified the prompt for studying, right? And I've modified it so that all of your study answers fit on one page. So you end up using them as flashcards. But learning to be concise is very important for lawyers, right? Nobody at the Internal Revenue Service wants to read War and Peace, right? They want why they should rule in your favor. So you're going to direct it to be clear and concise. So for purposes of the example, I've said, let's get the whole analysis done in 200 words, and then to do the answer in 50 words or less, or 25 words or less, because you want to be able to remember it for the exam. Okay, so that's the prompt. So you look at the prompt is relevant facts. So it's going to read the question, take the facts out. It will identify the issue from the question, right? And because you need to learn to do that, because the tax court exam, the issue should be clear from the question. Right? You know what this is also good at? Analyzing and responding to a 90-day letter and helping you write a petition, because the issue is clear from the explanation of the adjustments. A 30-day letter, the issue is clear, right? So have it find the issues for you, supplements your own analysis of these things. Remember, these are just tools. They don't take the place of thinking. Yes?
So the AI will read a PDF document, or you have to type it in?
No, we download them all. And we're going to show you other programs. One of the programs that we have put in, and I've sent the links to some people, everything. Okay, so this is one of the programs that we recommend. This one is DocuMind, all right? So what we've done to help people study for the exam is put in all of our prior exam materials. So we've taught this class for the last, 10 years. So we put in the outlines from the 2002 exam going forward. So now that's your universe. It won't hallucinate. It won't find the wrong answers, because it's going to find the answers from what the tax court has tested since 2002, and the answers that we have prepared using the students' tests and the right answers and the scoring that the tax court gave you. All right. So by having all this is not technically the same type of artificial intelligence as Poe. The DocuMind and the DocAlysis, which we're going to go through, are natural language processors. So they will use a chat type search, but you've created the database and you therefore avoid the wrong answers. So right now I'm testing in the office. I've taken some of the better tax hornbooks. I've put the tax hornbooks in. So instead of going on the internet, it's going to search the tax hornbooks. Then it will find the answer to the question in the hornbooks and then answer your question based on the hornbooks. So then all you need to do is then update the cases, and theoretically you're closer to present day analysis of the Salzman book or the Jones text or the other texts that I generally rely on as my go-tos in tax, and what I gave everybody, well, I recommended to everybody at the first class, right? These are the texts that you should have by you, and because they're generally going to help you. And then when we ask it the question, it answers it, but then it's going to give you the analogy on when the IRS has asked this question before, what it's similar to, what the answers are, right? So you go down from everything we have taught in prior years, and it's also going to include the handout, the PDFs from the prior year, so you can then pinpoint exactly what you need to read to know that. And you do, for those of you who are taking the practice exams, you combine that with the section of the review of what have you gotten wrong, right? The last practice exam we had, 66% of you got the same question wrong. So that's not bad, because now we knew what we needed to study to get it right, right? So there's the Poe, then there's I recommend DocuMind for all of your study materials, so that you're studying from the same materials once you've created them, and the materials that you're getting from coming to the classes. And then the last thing, and I know we're going out of the order of the slides, is DocAlysis. Can you bring DocAlysis? I have set that up for the case of the day. Right? We know that there is a high percentage of recent cases tested on the tax court exam. At 3:00 each day, the tax court publishes the questions of the day. Not the questions of the day, the cases of the day. Today, there was one case. You use the same prompt. We've created a prompt. So you download the file into DocAlysis, right? You go to the tax court website, go to today's opinions. All right, there's one case. You hit that, you download it into your database, and then you run the prompt. It will summarize the case for you in one page and what you need to know if this case is on the exam. Right? Billy's showing you how easy it is, this process. It's now been saved. And then you put in the prompt. I don't know.
Sorry, slide order is confusing. Nope. Nope.
Yeah.
There we go.
So also in the materials, so we've told it, assume that you're taking the bar exam. And it will summarize the case for you. Right, go through. So that's a very short prompt. It doesn't have the word count in there, but so it will now take that case. The case could be 300 pages. It's going to give you 1 page to read, and it'll summarize the issue that you should know. Like this was, go back up a little. It's going to tell you from that case, it's an innocent spouse case. It's going to tell you what rules of evidence were discussed in the case and what tax court rule. So that will help you know if it's on the evidence piece, or it's on the practice and procedure piece, or it's on the substance piece, and then you read the application. If you do that every day, it's going to take you 15 minutes. In 6 months, you will be shocked at how much tax controversy you pick up. If you do this for every section of the exam, you will get the same type of knowledge and experience in tax controversy as people who are going to LLM programs, and in a way that you will be able to use it in your practice, right? So we're using this for the exam, but it's to make you all better tax controversy professionals. You again, once you start learning and playing with these prompts, and it doesn't do all the work for you, but once you start learning and playing with these prompts and starting to know how to write them yourselves, it will prepare every document that you file with the IRS. You can create the prompts to do a protest. You can create the prompts to write you a collection due process, right? Every collection due process case has 3 pieces. We're going to learn that in practice and procedure. Verification, challenges to liability, balancing of your collection alternative. That's in every case. So you can write a prompt to go through your documents and figure out what should it argue, looking at a transcript of account on verification. What should it argue as your challenge to liability? And what should it argue on your, based on the 433A, as your balancing analysis? So once you do this and you learn how to put your documents in to a doc analysis, or if it's not a long file, to attach them to, let's back to your PO where you see your little paper clip. See, you'd see your paper clip. You can attach a lot of documents, right? It's not saved the way that they're saved in DocAlysis, so that you can go back to the same case over and over. So the reason I like the DocuMinds and the one called AI File, there's 3 or 4 of them that we use, because you save them. And if you're working on a case forever, then little by little, you're putting all the documents in as they come in. And then ultimately you can say, please draft a stipulation of fact, right? You program in the rules for what should be in a stipulation of fact, how the exhibits should be numbered, and it will do that for you, all right? You can set in Rule 151 of how a brief needs to be organized, how to write findings of fact, and it'll go through the document and write your findings of fact, right? You need to put the rules in and program the prompt of what you want. And you don't have to, for these purposes, we're cutting and pasting the prompts that we want you to use to study for the exam. But many of these programs allow you to put your custom prompts in, so you don't have to keep cutting and pasting. Yeah, so you've got to bring me down to, this is the one that most people use, ChatGPT. Go down to my name, my email address. So yeah, so you're there, custom instructions. Just double check that. Okay. And then you could put in your custom instructions. So for this, I said, I'm a tax controversy attorney. So that tells it, what do you want it to write for you? You want it to write something that tax controversy attorneys write, all right? I can talk about the IRS code for hours. So you want to make sure that it's including the IRS code. Then we put in things like, we're going back to neutral. Yes. So then you put in the other things that are about your writing style. I like to be formal. I like it to be in an active voice as opposed to a passive voice. This is to do the memo to you, you want it to be neutral. You don't want it to be argumentative. A link to the external sources, right? If it's got a link and give you the link to the cases, that means you can't make one up because it's got to give you a link to go to. Some of the bad AIs will give you a link to like something else. But what else do? You add to it. Not only do you have to give me a link, I want you to fact check every claim. And then I want you to blue book the citation for every tax because you can't blue book a fake case. All right. You can only blue book a real case. And then you put in what else you want. Like now we would put in for here the prompts for evidence questions. So then you don't have to put it in every time. You could just now, if you're in a study session, take the 2018 exam. There's going to be 10 evidence questions and answer 10 in a row without re-inputting your prompts. So you would just get the old exams. They're all available on the internet. Just cut and paste down what you want and have it answer all of it for you. But I recommend you continue to do them one question at a time. Understand and read the question. And then at the bottom, because of the way we have set this to eliminate hallucinations, it is putting on there the source of everything and the cases that they've looked at so we can go verify them using, I've given you the prompts on how to use the tax court website and how to use Google Scholar. All right. So if you look at those prompts, those will allow you to verify all of the cases. And I'm trying to put either the free or lowest cost AIs on here so that your study is easy to do. Yes, ma'am. There was a question.
Yeah. So, like, it's a free version, some of those, and there is the pay one.
Yes.
So what is the big difference? And how do you choose
Volume.
which one to
A number of documents in volume. So say Jeff and I have a case that the government discovery was 1 million pages. You can't have the AI analyze and give you a timeline on the free one for 1 million pages, but the pay one you can. So think about how long it would take you to read 1 million pages versus having the program read 1 million pages and give you a summary of what's important on the issues that you think are important. Right. So that's why there are pay ones. All right.
Are they the same accuracy?
I use right now. You see, there's these, and if you've ever been to my office, you know I have multiple monitors up, like going to the track, right? So each of the monitors is now a different chat. And I find that they're like children. They all have different personalities. They all answer you differently. And those differences actually mean we miss less. So it is more likely than not. So if you have a big multi-screen setup and you ask all 4 chats the question, right? You may get the same answers from some. You may get variations on the answer. But by you asking them all and then having them rebut each other, you get as good an analysis as a computer can give you. So that's how we make this work, right? That's how you can make it work with the freer ones. Like just get a lot of them and have them challenge each other. Right? Again, it does not take the place of us, right? Thank God, right? Otherwise we wouldn't have a job. But right, why take the exam? We're all going to be unemployed. But it makes the work better. It actually also gives you more confidence in your answers. Because once you set up the prompts and once you put in the documents and once you decide what sources to use as the database other than just the internet, it's fine. And then you can put in like the parameters. So all of these programs, we can say, hey, when you are going through the rules, include the Internal Revenue Code, include the regulations, include cases from the tax court after a certain year, and then you can hyperlink back to the IRM and say, include the IRM sections. Right? So, because there are times when the IRM sections are very useful to put in an argument because the IRM is the Bible for many people at the Internal Revenue Service. It's their internal rules and procedures. So they're very persuaded by the IRM, even though a court wouldn't be, because they say the IRM is not mandatory. It's just directory. It gives no rights. But in CDP, when you have to verify that the IRS has followed all its own rules and procedures, a citation to a violation of the IRM would be issue determinative when you're talking about the verification issues. Right? So slowly and steadily over the next few weeks, next few months between now and the exam, we're going to add the other parts of the AI that you would use in your studying and also in your practice. Like there are, you will create a custom database for yourself. Right now we're working on one where it will include the IRM. It will include, I think we're going to put in every seminar that we've ever done since, I don't know, 2010, maybe 2005. So we're going to put every article and every seminar that we've written, we're going to put it into a database and see how will it answer questions that we see today. Okay. All right, let's get back. What else do I want to make sure that they cover? All right. So we've covered docalysis. Docalysis is what I am recommending that you use for reading your case every day. And even for those of you who aren't taking the exam, every day at 3 o'clock, find 10 or 15 minutes to go to the tax court website and read the case that's come out that day. It's not a lot of cases. It'll be 1 case, 2 cases, max 3 cases. It'll summarize it for you. So even if it's a long case, you don't need to read it all. But you will be surprised at how much you learn by doing that. And for right now, we're recommending docalysis for the cases. For the others, there's lots of these document NLPs, right? DocuMind is inexpensive. There's one AI file that is, I think it's still free. It's in beta. And you will use that. Again, there's actually tax programs now that'll write your emails based on the documents in your files. So it's a question of slowly but steadily, you will see that the publishers who do all of these tax things like the CCHs, I know because I did the beta testing of Ask Blue Jay, or are all writing programs to incorporate AI into your practice. But for now, learn how they work and create your own database. All right, what else let's go through quickly. All right. Yes.
You got me thinking that before too long, AI is going to take my W-2s, my 1099s, my 1098s, my K-1s, my charitable contribution letters. Just load them to AI and we get a 1040 in seconds.
Yes.
Is that pizza guy hiring?
Why?
Really. I mean, I know you can scan stuff in now. It's not as reliable as you'd like it to be. But this is like mind blowing.
You're still going to need the human being to check the computer.
No doubt, but a return that takes me an hour to whack in for a half hour to scan is going to be in AI in minutes. I'm going to have a document.
Right.
Like you just said with the legal stuff. It's going to be, your source documents is paragraphs. My source documents is numbers on a W-2.
Mhm.
In seconds, I'm going to have a 1040.
Oh, yeah. Look, we haven't even gone through. You can put your documents in and your numbers, and you can ask it to create Excel sheets and formulas and, discounted cash flows and depreciation. And once you learn, right now I'm dealing with words and getting you to the exam, and we're taking baby steps to teach you how to incorporate it in your tax controversy practice. But it has really great math skills. And I just had to reconstruct partnership basis. So I put in, let's see, the partnership was acquired in 1987. They're selling today. So we put in the returns from 87 forward and had it reconstruct the partner's basis and capital accounts.
And obviously, the basis is a much different calculation than with the tax.
Yeah, I mean, again, that's a very different. You got to look at all your K1s. You got to look at the losses. You got to look at the original capital. That's why we took in from 1987 to 2022 and said, I need the basis and I need the capital accounts.
Did you get it by year?
And I get it by year. It made it, but remarkably, I still have to check it because it made 2 math errors. Right? Maybe it was the scanning process. The 7 looked like a 2. But so there were 2 math errors. But if I had to do that computation myself, I think I would have, what little hair I have left would be gone.
Well, and you wouldn't be here. You'd still be at your desk. You're at your desk.
Okay. So back to, all right, how much time do I have left?
51 minutes.
51? Okay.
Disclosure, there any disclosure or confidentiality issues with?
Yes,
With all this in the cloud?
tons of stuff.
And how do you address that?
You're not, it depends on what you put in, and are you going to redact? No, they all tell you right now that they are not secure. Most of these programs are still in beta. The final programs will probably be locked, but they're in beta and they're looking at the information in order to see how to perfect it and make it better. That's why you saw it's ChatGPT 4, right? Which ChatGPT 3.5 was great, 4 is out, and then there's betas in there. You saw on the bottom of the next chats. Claude 1 was in, but also then Claude 2 was in there. Google has Bard, but then you saw there was the beta of Palm. Meta's, Facebook's, they're out, but at this point, there's very few of them that are secure. By contrast, the NLPs are secure because you would then use only your database. So that's not going up to the cloud. That's going to go to a drive on your machine that you would control. But again, you need to read the instructions on the NLPs to see if you're there. All right. This stuff is in the slides. It's in the materials. I've also sent materials to those of you who are on the Google group about this, on how to use it to study. If you use it every day, it'll be easier to incorporate it in your practice, right? If you force yourself now to use it, even again, use it for simple emails. You'll start getting very comfortable with it. You'll see how the logic works. And then it'll be less foreign to you, and it'll just become part of what you do every day. And the byproduct of it is, again, you set the prompts so that it will, the grammar will always be right. The punctuation will always be right. You can set with the number of words to meet the word limits on briefs, and it will figure out what to cut without losing quality. And you always want the fewest words that get you to the point. I create prompts to say, make it as concise as possible, but yet complete, so that it will be part of what you do. All right. And there's more, but I want to give you a little bit each class.